Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the AFL Fantasy season as a whole, looking through and looking at what went wrong, what went right. It will be a little bit hazy because not only, like I said, with the women's, I don't have the data like a spreadsheet on price movement, etc. like that, which I will be doing next year. And also just sort of not knowing the options, etc., that were there available to choose from. But yeah, before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, this was the round one team. And just looking through it, I mean, Doherty was that was it was a decent choice to start. I mean, he went 110, 79, 136, 74, and then after he came back, he sort of kicked into gear, and you can see sort of the scores that he was putting up. Duggan was a throw at the darts board sort of play, and I mean, if you look at the stats here, you can see he really kicked up into gear here and then got suspended, which sort of killed him off, and then he never really returned to a form. But there probably was better options there to go for with Duggan, but he certainly wasn't the worst round one inclusion. McGrath, don't know why I thought that he was going to be a good inclusion. Should have immediately jumped off him as he just never really scored well. He had, what's that, 4 100 scores or something like that? 4 100 scores across 23 games just isn't good enough, and will never probably be in my fantasy team ever again, just because I don't really like his role terribly too much, comparatively to other running backs who get a lot more ball. Constable, that was a good choice initially as he just was so low priced and got the cash gen required and got us going with the cash gen very, very quickly, and got 90k very quickly in the across 2 games, and that was very good. It was sort of the first upgrade, I believe. Jinby had that defender status, and we used that and abused that to keep him down there. I mean, I think he sometimes slipped into the midfield for me, but yeah, I don't remember when I exactly got rid of him. I might have had to stomach a 24, but I don't think I did. I think I got rid of him after about the 50 or 6. Yeah, because I think I got rid of him and he went 96, but I didn't really care after that one because it doesn't seem like he's returned any good form after that. But I think next year you'll see an improved him. But I mean, he'll be priced at 58, which is a sort of mid-pricer, and he seemed very, very sort of out of place a little bit because he was just playing too much midfield time. But anyway, Cowan, 35, and he won't play. We're looking at the likes of Zach Williams next year, and if we go here, Zach Williams played 58 in a round. No, didn't play last year. So just looking at Zach Williams, he is the sort of Cowan replacement, obviously, and will be priced at, I believe, somewhere around that. If I just bring it up here, 1 second, he'll be priced at like 49, which will be pretty good pricing for him. 20 points unders also, which 25 points unders for him, which I think is a very good price range to jump on. Then you've got the rookies in Campbell, Chesser, and Wilmot, and I don't really remember if there was any good rookies from round one that we chose in the defender stats. I don't remember this, and this is probably where I needed to do some more research. But yeah, don't remember any good re-scores there, but sort of these two sort of kept their charm. Petrarca, great pick in the end. Bont, great pick in the end. Whitfield, that was a shocker. Could have, what did Whitfield start as? What did he start as? He started around 800k. Probably could have picked about any other 800k guy and used that. But we had the, I mean, all the money was spent basically on the forward line, I think. Tom Green, that was a great pick. And only really turned into a sour pick when he had that suspension in round 6, I believe, which was a trade out. And then picked him up again, and then I think he had the injuries where he was a must trade out again. Dom Sheed could have been any other player here at that price, but I mean, he was at 590k. There weren't many others. Warple was probably the better choice there overall, as he really struggled in the first couple of rounds, Dom Sheed, to gain anything, and then was out, which sort of sucked. But when he came back, he sort of had that really good sort of 3 or 4 You can see this 5-week stretch where he almost averages basically 100 across that last of those 5 games. Ashcroft, McKenzie, Ollie Hollands, these were pretty good selections in my opinion, and keeping Philippou on the bench over Hollands was probably not the best choice. Looking here, just 10 points burned, which was a really good choice round 1, but turned out to be a really bad choice overall. Roel Marshall, good thing that held on to him as he went on a massive run after that and only dropped 1, 2, 3 non-100 scores after that round 1 performance, and the forward line was pretty good. After that, just Tanner Bruin should have seen his role diminishing, I guess, but I think he'll get a better role next year. But average of 70 is going to be pretty tough to improve upon, in my opinion, when he comes back. As you see, that was sort of his baseline in the last couple of weeks when he was there. Last 5 of 72, last 3 of 75, so it'll be tough to go to him next year. And Sheasel was just a great pick over Philippou. I gained a lot on some people that had him there. And then the rookies shouldn't have dropped Fergus Ream, but I didn't like his role. I think his role was very non-fancy inducive, and we saw a couple of weeks. I mean, he dropped at 51, 45, 39. He sort of kicked into gear a little bit round 5 and 6 with 6 goals there, but didn't really do much outside of that. And yeah, and then Euland, I think, kept in my side the whole time. He had a 68 in round 1 and then 27, and then just didn't, and then had one game where he had a -3 as well. So it will be interesting to see him next year. I think he does probably get some game time next year, and at 30, discounted by 21% or whatever, that's going to price him, I believe, at 25 or something like that, which will be almost basement price again. Moving on to round 2, and you sort of see we'll be able to whip through these very quickly. McGrath, not good. Duggan, not the greatest. I don't know why I kept on to him. I think I had some injury issues that caught it always sort of propped up. You can see I went to Warple, which was a pretty decent choice. And yeah, from memory now, I actually should have gone just Will Day immediately for McGrath. That would have been the choice, but McGrath was scoring more than Duggan. So, I mean, should have just got him in as quickly as I could. And putting Euland on field didn't work, as he put up a 27. Should have just kept with Wilmot. But yeah, it sort of can happen, I guess. And Holland's on field. So I sort of swapped the guys on field that I wanted without. So I burnt 31 points there, 35 points there, sort of thing. And you can see I went with Jarrod Witt's captaining, which was just sort of dumb. Should have gone with someone like a Taranto or someone that was just a little bit more suited, and that would have burnt. So I burnt like 100 points in this round alone, which sort of sucks. And then not getting rid of Tanner Bruin. So I had the problem of Tanner Bruin, sort of this D6 role and this McGrath Duggan matchup that I really needed to fix as well. And then we sort of saw Sheed prop up, and I didn't really have any answers to that. Brought in Nick Dacos. Should have started Nick Dacos, actually, now thinking about it, as he was around that 750k, was he? 770k. Should have just started Dacos over, I think it was Duggan, was it? Duggan and McGrath. Should have just gone Dacos and Day, but we didn't know that at the time, but that would have been a better choice, obviously. Really liked how this midfield sort of was performing, except for Tanner Bruin, who we really needed to get rid of. And I got Kay Chandler in, which was some good cash gen. So you see the cash gen on the bench was pretty good outside of Samson Ryan, but Samson Ryan started to pick up. I think it was round 5 or 6. So then we move on, and you got him Will Day for that, but again, got him in for, who was it in the end? Jimby or something in the end, was it? No, Jimby's still here. Got him in for Tanner Bruin and moved Jimby into the midfield, which, I mean, was an alright option, but could have done better there. And yeah, just didn't really act on some of the people, and you can already see some wild throws at the dark. I mean, I did put Brodie Grundy in just because of Max Gawn being out, and this is sort of what I expect from Brodie Grundy next year at the Swans, is games like this where he won't average 75 at the Swans. Like, if you take out a 36 here, he's not going to have, I don't think, a 47, a 48, a 54, a 59. He's not going to have those types of performances of 15, 11 hit-outs, etc. like that. He's going to have performances like a 45, 25, 33, 24, So I think there is so much upside with Brodie Grundy that it's going to be ridiculous, and priced at 75, what's that going to be? Somewhere around that 600 and something K range. He's going to be so valuable. Probably around that 650k range, I reckon. Going to be so valuable next year. And just running with these guys, yeah, they were all right, and this was all right at this point. Round 5, we looked down here, and getting in Tom Stewart was probably actually a really good call at this point. Looking at this, he did go through a little bit of struggles here, but after the bye, he was pretty good outside of games where he got tagged. And yeah, so that was all right, and we started to see Duggan go on a run. Tom Green captaincy, so captaincy definitely did leave left a lot to be wanted, I guess, from me. I think I burnt somewhere close to 800 or so points captaincy wise. If I actually flick over to here and bring this screen up, if it's here, I believe, I lost 652 points here from captaincy, and we go to the rankings here, and you'll see that is basically, if you look here, about half the points. That's what 1460, so roughly around 40% of the points that I lost to the eventual winner was lost. And even just top 5, look at top 10, right? Top 10 was 54,693, so that was around 1100 points. So over half the points to the top 10 that I lost was lost in captaincy. So I know that these guys would have bad captaincies, etc. But and then you counter in the Tanner Bruin fail from me. That's pretty much all of the points lots that I had. So just, I guess, not picking the right role, etc. like that, and going off preseason hype, I did lose me a lot. But it is frustrating. But what can you do? I guess not getting the right captaincy did burn me. And I mean, this one, I burned, 53 points there. That was one of the bigger ones, especially because you had a 161, a 151, a 168, a 172, a 170. And yeah, so I burnt a lot of points in this round. But did like the Shin Cotter play and the Connor Rosie on the bench there to get the captaincy as well. The double benching here to get the points was a good option there. And you can see the cash gen finally flowing out of Samson Ryan. So that was a good choice. But yeah, you can just see here that I was very, very wary on jumping out of players like Philippou. I probably should have just realised that cash very soon and gotten on to someone else. But I guess you do have to wait a week for a lot of these rookies to pop, and there wasn't many rookies popping at this point. Should have realised Lockie Cowan's cash actually at that point and just gone for a 300k rookie, because there wasn't... Lockie Cowan wasn't going to come back and play, I don't think, ever since he did play one game after that. So probably should have just gotten rid of Lockie Cowan, realised that 30k, jumped on a 300k guy that was playing and just hoped that they jumped. But that's with hindsight. And certainly I did like that Atkins play. When McPherson started, that was really good, but then he went to Darwin and stunk up the place. You see here, he went to Darwin, I believe. Where is his Darwin games? I think it was these two games, a 67 and a 42, which just stunk up the place and just sucked. So that was just not a good play when you look at the fixturing there, as a running back who takes a lot of marks was not going to do well in the Dewey Darwin conditions. So that was just a bad mistake on my half, and should have just gone for someone else, as he was 740, 750k, so should have just gone for a chucked Zeeble in defense and gone for another guy there. Then we move on here. Round 9, stuck with them. Got Will Powell again, just loading up on the Gold Coast players pre-bye. Probably wasn't the best play, especially because they were playing in Darwin pre-bye. And you can see that they really just sucked in Darwin. Should have been probably trying to get around it with getting more Geelong plays, but they weren't really found to see inducive their scoring, so I didn't really like that either. And you can just see the overall rank is just plummeting here at 9,500. So yeah, kept Will Powell for a 67, but my midfield started to really show up here, as you can see. I brought back Lockie Whitfield, and then I believe he got injured again, which didn't help. Ashcroft was doing really well. Will Day, Atkins, Tim English. We got the Tim English, Rowan Marshall duo there, which really did help. And then this was about the last game before McPherson had a really bad one. And you can just see here so much of that cash. And Harry Sharp was definitely a throw at the dark. And then he decided not to play after that, which really sucked. As it sounded from all reports that he was going to play, and he just didn't end up getting a game after that. And you can see here, it was pretty good. Got Zach Merritt in at that time, and he was really, really good for pretty much the rest of the season. Pretty sure I had him throughout the rest of the season. He did really, really well throughout that. Track was going through a low spot at that point, I'm pretty sure, and then he started to kick into gear around this point. You can see 116, 118, 103, and then really started to kick into gear except for this round 23, and then I believe I traded him out for before round 24, and he put up 100 in the last round, which was a little bit annoying. Ashcroft 46, was this the injury game? No, it wasn't. It was just a bad game for him against Adelaide. And then he came back all right, and I held him for that bye just because he was sort of in a good team for the bye round. Atkins at 30 really did suck, and that's sort of when I knew that that probably wasn't the play. At that point, getting out of him was crucial. Probably you couldn't have seen that beforehand though, so that was just, sometimes it just happens. Going through here as well, McPherson, you can sort of see the drop off starting to happen there, and I was really happy with that backline to go basically average out about 105 across the backline is pretty good effort across a weekend, especially before in round 11. It was just the midfield that really did suck that round, and I guess that's McPherson. You can see that drop off as I'm saying, and wasn't that one of the better rounds for the 6,000 round ranking? That was one of the bigger rounds. And you can sort of see my ranking rise here. Brought in Oys and Mullen to play on field, which just don't really want rookies to be playing on field at this point. But I mean, it was the first bye round, so you sort of could stomach it. As I did get a decent score out of Noah Long, which really did go a long way. But I'm pretty sure I didn't have to take McPherson's 42, but it would have been nice to have those 60s taken off rather than, as you can see here, with Sheasel, Wardlaw, Atkins, Noah Long. I picked up Keys right at that crucial point, that 1, 2, 3. He went 99, 90, 132, and then I should have jumped off of him after this 91, as I believe Crouch was reintroduced into the side, and I should have seen that effect. So I think one of the biggest things that you can take away from this is, like I was saying with the AFLW, is looking at the player's role and seeing that they can change dramatically. I mean, we saw Keys' role basically fall off a cliff because of Crouch's reintroduction. So just looking at that and realising that was probably a good thing. And also you can just see here, me holding on to these 300Kers that weren't playing was just not the best option. I really should have been trying to get them out and get them up towards top end guys, especially in these rounds 5 to 10 where I wasn't really doing that as much. Brought in Hayden Young, and I really liked his role now, but didn't like it post buy for him and around before the buys had completed. I didn't like that run of games that I had with him, as that really just didn't work. Brought in Matthew Johnson as well, as he was a really good cash gen during that period, and he basically got me through the buys, which was really good. He did drop a 37 here, but that didn't, I think, count as one of my scores in the end, as I had a really rough bye week, I'm pretty sure. 34,000 rank for the round was not a good round rank, as I really suffered in round 13, but then I came back really strong because I knew that I'd set up for the later bye rounds in comparison to other people, even though I did cop a 31 and a 37. I had Sheldrick. I brought in Sheldrick post his bye, so I was really happy with the guys that I brought in there. Unlucky for Sheldrick to get injured, as he was doing really well, as he put up a 111 against, I believe this was against the Eagles that they played. And yeah, the Chesser move didn't really work, as I did have to sit a lot of my guys this week, but had a really good cash gen out of everyone. And then the Windhager play didn't work that week, but worked out in the long run, and probably should have just got off Windhager a little bit earlier, as I sort of was stuck with him on the bench and couldn't realise his cash gen. I believe this was first non-bye week, and this was a really good week for me, 800 rank wise, and just did really well. I think 90, like my lowest score of the week. Yeah, I had a 72 and a 58 from Darcy Cameron. So yeah, I should have realised Darcy Cameron with Mason Cox coming back wasn't going to be that good, but that's in hindsight. And Tim Taranto, I VC'd him for his first bad score, but then Brad Crouch came in with like an 18 tackle effort against the Eagles here, 17 tackles against the Eagles for a 137, so that really helped out that, and that was fun to watch that game. But yeah, really just my defenders were really churning it out at this point, helping the side keep it going. Then had a really bad week this week as what went wrong in this week? Yeah, held on to Darcy Cameron, which probably wasn't the best play. What did I trade out? I traded out 2 rookies at this point to get in Cornelio, and Cornelio went 136, so that was probably a really good play that week as Wardler was injured. Looking at this now, I probably should have actually kept Darcy Wilmot as this is round 17. Let's look at Darcy Wilmot for round 17. He put up 76, so probably should have just kept him. He would have been there and gotten rid of, and just kept him on the bench there and gotten rid of, Josh Dunkley. Should have just gotten rid of him. Darcy Wilmot and Josh Dunkley and saved some cash there, or gotten rid of and got a better forward there, to be honest, as that would have enabled me to get another, probably, I don't know exactly, but gotten another forward that would have been impactful over Darcy Cameron, but I decided not to do that. I decided to get Cornelia, which was a really good choice that round, and Jack Williams, which didn't turn out to be the best role, as Bailey Williams was dominating the ruck there at so just not knowing the role there really suffered. Pretty sure I brought Sicily in for a 65, which didn't help, obviously, but not the worst. Johnson I really should have been trying to get rid of at this point, as he just wasn't scoring well, and this was the point where I had the problems of Keys, Himmelberg. I had Darcy Cameron on the bench, which I really should have used I'm pretty sure I used him and Johnson to upgrade. But yeah, I had about 3 or 4 different problems, and I had to just try and get them right in the order that I got rid of them, and I don't remember if I got rid of them correctly. Keys I got for an 82, which was really lucky that round, and I got rid of I got rid of Johnson for, I believe, Steele, who put up a 133, which is decent, a 116. And then he started to really suck, which was annoying. As you see here, I got one last good round out of Darcy Cameron. And then round 20, what did I do? I held Darcy Cameron for another 98, which was decent. And I believe I brought in Parrish or something, or maybe, I don't know exactly who I brought in. Brought back in Josh Dunkley for a 137. Pretty good decision that. And Robert Henson Jr. just brought him in, and he did nothing. So that was a bad choice. Got rid of Noah Long. Those were pretty good trades, actually, now looking at them. So yeah, my trades probably on the round by round weren't the worst. It was just in the long run. I brought Liberatore in for a 133, and then he got injured next game. That was a really good trade. In hindsight, really bad trade. Looking at it in general, would have been one of the best trades sequences, because I reckon he was going to go 130 throughout the last 3, but got concussed in the Hawthorn game after 23% time on ground. So he was probably looking in that Hawthorn game at a 90 or 100 there, which wouldn't have been the best, just looking at the time on ground and his score. But that Eagles game, he would have dominated. Even though they ended up losing it, I think Libert being out definitely did contribute to them losing it. But I just don't know why I was keeping Darcy Cameron this long. Should have just been upgrading him with Windhager to get them up. But obviously needed the Liberatore, and then the Liberatore out definitely didn't help getting him. He was actually held this round, and I got rid of Nick Dacos because he was injured, and Darcy Cameron, and got Luke Jackson, which was a play. Nick Newman definitely was a really good play that round, but I think there was other forward options that I could have gone to. But as you can see here, same with the women, I just got stuck with so many guys having little cash on the bench here that I couldn't get rid of. And I left so much cash on the bench, which is something that I really need to do better next year. And I think that's going to be the difference between doing really well and doing really badly, is getting that cash and getting it to good players. Bringing in Trelaw was a really good player as a substitute for Tom Liberatore, but I probably would have hoped that I'd be able to bring in Trelaw instead of some others, and probably get rid of a Jack Steele or something like that at that point. But it was just that F6 role that I didn't really know what to do with. And again, you see, Tom's still doing really well, Nick Newman doing really well as a VC, my backline sort of holding up. And then we come to round 24, the last round of the year, and my backline did all right. I believe I don't know if I brought in Sheasel or not, what my trades were exactly for this round. But yeah, Luke Jackson as an F6, my forward line just didn't function, and my Steele getting outscored by Windhager basically summed up the year. But I mean, it wasn't the worst. Obviously, finishing 14-42 wasn't the worst, but could have done a lot better. But that is a very long-winded review with very little stats, so probably wasn't the greatest. But I think it just shows the biggest takeaways from the AFL Fantasy this year is to know the roles from both women's and men's, is to know the roles of the players, to get rookies out at the right time. Picking the right round is crucial, but also just getting them out in general is crucial, because you're going to eventually just hold on to them because injuries will pop up and stuff like that. So when you can get rid of them if they're just scoring 30s and 40s, and change it and swap them over. And then also it's, I guess, still, as you saw with me, I thought I did this pretty well, is getting the buy structure really good, and that helped me definitely jump up. As you saw, I was lingering around that 8 to 9k, and I definitely jumped up the rankings post buy because I lined up my buys really well. So lining up buys are really crucial. And then also just knowing the fixture in the long run, I guess, and that is sort of tied into the buy structure and how that works. But knowing where your players are going to play, who they're going to play against, can be crucial. Like looking 6, 8, 10 weeks in advance, if there is a tough choice, etc., as that can be crucial to who you actually select. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.